Hello and welcome back to my channel. Jacob Payton here. Today we'll be diving into Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House. When Louise finds out that her parents have died, she dreads going home. She doesn't want to leave her daughter with her ex and fly to Charleston. She doesn't want to deal with her family home, stuffed to the rafters with the remnants of her father's academic career and her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls. She doesn't want to learn how to live without the two people who knew and loved her best in the world. Most of all, she doesn't want to deal with her brother Mark, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job after another, and resents her success. Unfortunately, she'll need his help to get the house ready for sale, because it'll take more than some new paint on the walls and clearing out a lifetime of memories to get this place on the market. But some houses don't want to be sold, and Louise and Mark's home has other plans for both of them. I had no idea what I was getting into when I read this book. I just thought it was going to be a straight up haunted house novel, but of course I forgot that Grady Hendrix, right? It's Grady Hendrix. Nothing is ever as it seems. This is a haunted house novel. The house indeed has a ghost. However, it's a lot more than just a haunted house novel because there are haunted dolls, right? Louise's mother collected haunted dolls, well, not haunted dolls, she collected dolls and puppets. So the central haunting in this is not really the house, but a very, very scary puppet. I don't like dolls. I'll be 100% honest. You don't have to convince me that a doll is possessed and haunted, right? You tell me, I believe you. I will avoid it the rest of my life. It doesn't ever need to come in the house. So I'll be honest, while I understand Louise really resents Mark, and that comes out, you know, right off the bat. Louise has kind of made a career for herself. Or the man that she's had a kid with is kind of described as almost kind of being like a man-child. You know, she kind of has an ordered life, and Mark is kind of just done whatever. He's not very successful. He's mooched off their parents a lot. Although I will say there are definitely some reasons for this. There is a lot of darkness in their family past. Not so much abuse, it's just a lot of things that have happened that the family doesn't really talk about. They've just kind of covered up and move on. There's some stuff that, there's a reason Louise is super ordered. It's because she's blocked out part of this. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but does it involve scary dolls? Yes, it does. So just be forewarned, this is a haunted doll novel. You're going to get some haunted dolls. So if you're like me, you're going to be a little creeped out there. And, you know, on the one hand, Mark isn't great. He comes across as a dick right off the bat. But the first thing he does when their parents die is he hires people to gut the house. And this is my one kind of defense of Mark. He hires these people to specifically get rid of all the creepy dolls because, you know, he didn't block out the fact that he had terrible experiences with him. And one of the reasons he resents his sister so much is not only, you know, her success, but the fact that she's blocked out all these like paranormal occurrences that happened to them as children. So, you know, hindsight being what it is, I'm a little pro Mark after that, because that is the move, right? If your parents pass away and leave you a house that is filled with creepy dolls and puppets, and you know for a fact that one of them is evil, and you can just hire somebody to gut the house, I'm just saying, I think Louise should have let that happen. It would have been a much shorter book. But, you know, she couldn't do it. There's a lot of vindictiveness to her that I think really shows that she's not as ordered as she wants to be. Because, like, if she was, it's almost like a facade of her wanting to have this ordered, normal life. And like I said, it is because she's blocking out some stuff, and that I'm not going to spoil what that stuff is. That's going to all come out in the book. It's really good. I highly recommend everyone read it. But just the fact that she can't seem to let go of, it's not even letting go of the house. She doesn't want to see Mark win. She has a real resentment towards her brother because she doesn't think it's fair that she's worked so hard for everything she has and he seems to just still be doing okay, which I think is a very weird take because she's obviously very successful in her own right. You know, she's living basically on the West Coast and she's doing, you know, whatever. And Mark seems like he barely has enough to scrape by. So I think it's really weird that that was like the underpinning of what she was so upset about. But, you know, families are weird and they can bring out some pettiness, and I think we get a lot of that in this book, which I very much enjoyed, because when the haunting really starts ratcheting itself up, they're still fighting so much they can't do anything about it. You know, Mark resents her for a lot of reasons, and she resents him for a lot of reasons. And there's a point when they could just sell the house, but she doesn't want to do it, right? She just wants to drag it out. I mean, in a lot of the stuff that happens is literally because of this level of family infighting and pettiness that's going on between them. So there's a lot in here. And once again, you know, that's one of the things I love about reading Grady Hendrix books is you never know which direction the story is going to take, because even though when the character's like, this is the obvious answer, this is what I should do, a lot of times they just go with this very human, very emotional response. And sometimes it's stubbornness, and sometimes it's just like, I can't let this person win, which is coming out in this, right? She doesn't want to let Mark get what she feels like is a win, even when it kind of jeopardizes both their lives and their sanity at one point. My way of thinking is that if you walk into your parents' house, a place that you haven't been in a long time, and you find the attic door nailed shut, that is a good time to let any real estate agent just go ahead and sell it. Heck, push the house down, build some condos. I don't know. But that is not what they do in this. Obviously, they have to take on this like puppet essentially, and all the other dolls in the house, which they all talk about the feeling like they're watching them as soon as they walk in. I would never walk in there. But yeah, no, I also really like the fact they bring up the Velveteen Rabbit a lot as almost an explanation for some of the things that are happening. And she talks about very early on how much she hates that story but doesn't remember why. And it's because part of her remembers the fact that there were possessed puppets in her childhood. And yeah, there's a lot in here, a lot of like stuff about puppetry that I didn't know about, a lot about how like puppets, I forget the exact line, but it was something like puppets kind of being like manifestations of chaos because of like their early like almost cartoon levels of comedy violence. And I'd never thought about that before, but it's like, yeah, what kind of spirit would possess a puppet? Oh yeah, someone that's going to be into that type of stuff. And I thought that was a really interesting take. Once again, I don't want to give a lot of spoilers. This is a really good book. If you like Grady Hendrix books, or even if you don't like Grady Hendrix books, if you've read, you know, some of the others and you weren't into it, whatever, man, check this book out. I would love to see, I know My Best Friend's Exorcism is a movie, but this is just, it's written in such a way that it would, I think, pop on screen. And I don't know if that was something he did on purpose or what, but I mean, it's just written so visually and it's paced. I mean, I feel like I breezed through this book, and it's not short. I mean, I think it comes out to like 413 pages, but I feel like I just breezed through this book because the pacing was so quick. And like, you know, a lot of it, I don't think there was no wasted pages. There was no long descriptions of a door or a window or anything. It's just one thing after another. And if you watch this channel, you know how much I love that. I love continuous action in books, essentially. I don't like when characters get broody and when they like settle on something and then it's like page after page of like somebody at a lake or whatever. Like I like it when it's all for the central story, if that makes sense. It's just kind of the reason I don't like anime. I don't like filler episodes, and we don't get filler here. This is just scary haunted house, dealing with family who know about scary haunted house. How do you get rid of a possessed puppet? Them figuring out their stuff, what they both remember about the puppet, and honestly trying to figure out a way to get rid of it. And, you know, once again, it's Grady Hendrix. If you've read My Best Friend's Exorcism, you know that when it comes to getting rid of some sort of spirit, he's not going to take a traditional route. And I very much appreciate that, right? We don't get, just some minor spoiler here, but we don't get any sort of like, they're not going to bring in a priest, right? That's not going to happen. This isn't going to turn into an Exorcist knockoff. This is 100% a wholly original horror novel. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Even as someone that hates dolls and hates puppets, I read about them for 413 pages. And I recommend that you do the same, because this was a really fun book. This was a really good book. This is a horror book that I would love to see turned into a movie. All the characters felt very real, and at the same time it was wacky, it was comedic, because there's like, you know, Mark's involved with puppets, and that's a whole thing. And yeah, there's a lot in here, and I don't want to dissect too much of it because I don't want to give you guys a bunch of spoilers, because this is a book that I think everyone should have on their TBR if they like horror and, you know, try to read it. It was just good. I don't know what else to say. I enjoyed this a lot. You know, if you've read this, you liked it, you didn't like it, let me know in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.